Well, we're there. All right. No, I'm just kidding. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're actually we have to get from here to there. We got to get it up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to back down the line, head to bridge number 60, and head up the track, up the grade, and that's where we're going to go. That's where we're going to go. We're going to head west and back east again. As you may know, the Delaware Lackawanna and Western Railroad was founded in 1851 and was completed in 1856, totaling over 3,000 miles of track, and it came to an end in 1960. And by 1960, it merged with the Erie Railroad, forming Erie Lackawanna, and then which gave into Conrail in 1976, and I'll get into that later in our program. All to our left here, you can see this big maroon building right here, beige building. Excuse me. There was a sand tower. All locomotives needed sand for traction. Now, sand was important. It was vital that all locomotives use sand for traction, whether they hit a slippery spot. Sometimes the wheels could slip, and you know, that's steel wheel on steel rails, and sometimes the wheels can intend to slip, so there's a little device underneath the engine that can squirt a little bit of sand onto the track, which gives the locomotive traction, and it creates friction so they can get up a steep grade or move in between a railroad yard. And over to our right here, you can see this trestle right here, which is actually the mall ramp, leads into the mall at Steamtown. This at one time was actually the coal trestle, where a heavy 080 Lackawanna steam locomotive would push loaded coal hopper cars up this grade. It was a 4% grade, which is very, very steep. Push it to the top of the long trestle, dump the coal into the coal pockets, the anthracite coal, and that coal would be used to fill the waiting steam locomotives. This coal trestle could service about, the coal typically serves about 6 to 8 locomotives at a time. This trestle, of course, was constructed in 1906. I have a quick question for everyone. How many in this coach have ever ridden a train before? Raise your hand. Boys, I don't want to talk while I'm blowing the whistle. This is a Baldwin 26. That's its original hooting whistle. Over our left there, that's the largest steam locomotive ever built. That's a Union Pacific Big Boy, constructed between 1941 and 44. The Union Pacific Railroad built 25 of them for service, and they operated until 1959. The Big Boy was the largest of any steam locomotive ever built, 132.5 feet long, weighed over 600 tons, which is equivalent to 1.2 million pounds. The heaviest of any reciprocating steam locomotive ever built. In its heyday, the Big Boys could pull a train 5 to 6 miles long at more than 70 miles per hour. That's how powerful they were. The Big Boys operated until 59. They only operated on the Union Pacific Railroad. They were designated to only work on freight trains, work as freight locomotives. Out of the 25 Big Boys built, 17 of them were scrapped. 8 still exist today, one of which we have is number 4012. 4012 was built in 41, along with 20 other engines that were delivered to the Union Pacific Railroad in September 1941, followed by the 5 other big boys that followed in December of 1944. As a matter of fact, that year, most railroads tried to convert to EMD diesels, or the electric motor division, but were caught by war shortages to accept steam instead. Eight big boys exist today, as I mentioned, one of which is being restored in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and that is big boy number 4014. That engine will be probably up and running hopefully by 2019, and that date is very important because 150 years ago, on May 10th of 1869, was the commemoration of the first transcontinental railroad that ran between connecting Omaha, Nebraska to Sacramento, California, the east and the west. The Union Pacific Railroad finished first and met the Central Pacific Railroad at Promontory Summit, Utah, with the driving of a golden spike, commemorating the first transcontinental railroad mainline.
On the plane. Yeah.
The succession of the Transcontinental Railroad connected the east with the west coast, so people could get from one place to the other, including Chicago as well. From Chicago to Sacramento, they take a one-way ticket out of Sacramento, California. Does anyone have any questions? Anything so far?
Where do they keep the sand for the wheels?
The sand for the wheels for steam locomotives or diesel locomotives? Just all locomotives? Steam locomotives? They kept them in a special dome called a sand dome that was actually behind the steam dome. Like a switch locomotive could hold, had 2 sand domes because it was running in a rail yard all day, like number 26. Locomotives like 26 designated to have 2 sand domes because they had to have a lot of that sand for that traction to run in between the rail yard, in and out for 24/7. It was an all-day thing. Whereas mainline locomotives like freight locomotives or passenger engines needed sand for traction, just one sand dome as well. There either be Canadian locomotives would have the sand domes in the front, like the ones you've seen in our roundhouse. That's our Canadian National 3254 and a 2317. Both those locomotives are due for overhauls right now, but they have sand domes in the front. Most other American-built locomotives had sand domes in the back of their steam domes, and that's how they got sand for traction. It was a little pipe that was underneath the driving wheels, squirt a little sand on the track for traction. Folks, didn't quite reach Bridge 60. We're going to head up the 1% grade now towards the Radisson Hotel and University of Scranton. As soon as we start moving, we start going up the 1% grade, which is about 1.8%.
Tickets, please.
Have your tickets at this time, ready at this time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to get this grade here. This is a 1.8% grade. As soon as you start up the grade, it just automatically goes into a 1.8% grade. This is the only way for all trains going east could get up over the mountains into Hoboken, New Jersey, which is the farthest point east for the Lackawanna Railroad. The farthest point was coming back west, with midpoint being Scranton, Pennsylvania, and the northern point was Buffalo, New York. The main line from Buffalo, New York to Hoboken was the farthest for the Lackawanna Railroad. All the railroad equipment you see here in this yard, besides modern-day freight cars, was all a part of an organization that came out of what was out of New Hampshire, then moved across the river to Bellow Falls, Vermont, called Steamtown, USA. And I'll get to Steamtown in just a little bit. the mall. That's the mall. It's known as the marketplace now. One time, we seen them all there. That's where part of the yard was. That was part of the freight yard, the small freight yard. There's like 10 to 12 tracks that removed them, ripped them up and built the shop. On our left here, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the former Delaware Lockhorn and Western repair shops, repair and restoration shops. That's where the railroad would service, repair, and restore locomotives back to operating condition. That building was known as the Foundry when the Scranton repair shops became too small. About 5,000 people worked there at one time. It housed about 40 locomotives at a time. And after 1960, it was called Chamberlain, and now it's called General Dynamics, where they make mortar casings, mortar shells for the United States Army. Right here, we're just coming up on the former Lackawanna Station, now known as the Radisson Hotel. Constructed between 1905 and 1908, opened for business in 1908. The Delaware Lackawanna Western had their office of meeting, their boarding rooms. Meeting rooms were downstairs in the basement of the building. Office space was on the 6th floor. And the last scheduled passenger of the hotel was of the station was in 1972. Afterwards, in the 1980s, the hotel was converted. The station was converted into a hotel, which it still stands today. However, the main headquarters for the Delaware Lackawanna and Western Railroad was located in New York City, the Big Apple. It's hard to imagine that at one time this was a 3 to 4 track main line, 2 tracks going east, another 2 tracks coming back west. However, it all changed after 1955 when 2 devastating hurricanes came through this area, destroyed and devastated everything in their paths. 2 hurricanes, including Connie, Diane being the worst of it. Diane was a storm system that pushed its way up from the south, all the way up into the northeast, causing utter destruction, destroying everything in its path. Diane was the worst because the railroad would never fully recover after it, because so much damage was sustained after the floods that the Delaware Lackawanna and Western Railroad, along with the other rail lines before, including the Delaware and Hudson, known as the mighty D&H, the Central Railroad, New Jersey, and also the Pennsylvania Railroad, had to recover from it. However, this rail line was built to only 2 tracks, one going east, another one coming back west, and it took the railroad about 29 days to recover after Diane. About 4 weeks. That's how long it took to get passenger and freight service back up again. Then, of course, as some of you may know, by 1960, the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad merged with the Erie Railroad, forming Erie-Lackawanna Railroad. The reason for that was to escape bankruptcy and to keep passenger service going up until about 1972, when the last scheduled passenger train came out of Scranton and went into Hoboken, New Jersey. That was the last scheduled trip. And then by 1976, as you may know, Consolidated Rail Corporation, Conrail, took over, and that was to keep freight service going in parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and the railroads that had folded after that. And then by 1999, Conrail was split, and including the 2 railroads that succeeded it, including CSX and Norfolk Southern. As far as we went by the Bridge Road here, we're now heading west back to Steamtown. This to mention, the Delaware Lockhorn and Western Railroad was known for hauling anthracite coal, but not just anthracite coal itself. It also hauled other raw materials, including lumber, food, milk, and other anything that you could imagine. So Lockhorn Railroad hauled freight passengers up until 1960, and then into the days of the Erie Lockhorn until 72. They were Conrail, and Conrail had acquired the yard and then had left the yard in 1980. This was the only way from all trains going east, coming back west, up and down the mountains through the valley. See, the course for most railroads was to follow the lay of the land, but they would follow the rivers. See, the Delaware Lockhorn and Western Railroad did not prosper overnight. It required a lot of work, a lot of hard work to keep the trains running 24 hours, 7 days a week. It was an all-day thing. It was very dirty and dangerous job. However, to keep the railroads going, you had to improve. Over the years, bigger locomotives would arrive on the scene in the 30s and 40s, including the invention of the bigger firebox, more efficient, making it bigger, the invention of the 284 Berkshire type engine, then into the largest one, being the 484 Northern, and then the largest, as we saw before, the 4884 Big Boy, the largest steam locomotive ever built. And the largest locomotive that the Lockhorn Railroad had was actually a 484 Northern, known as the Pocono locomotives, and the Lockhorn Railroad built about 60 of them for passenger and freight service. They're mostly used for freight, though. The man who made the Lockhorn Railroad prosper, his name was Mr. William Haynes Truesdale. He was president of the Lockhorn Railroad from 1899 until 1925. And during his time as president of the railroad, he embarked on massive projects to actually, not just to make the railroad stand up, but to enhance the Lockhorn Railroad's image for how it was and how it ran. So what he proposed was massive projects to build more bridges, tunnels, and to eliminate curves and grade crossings so locomotives wouldn't have to blow their whistles every half mile or so. His succession of the railroad completed in the project being completed in 1915, 1916, and that's how the Delaware Lockhorn and Western Railroad came to be, and that's how the railroad was enhanced to embark on massive projects like Mr. Truesdale had done. Because Mr. Truesdale knew that if he could run a heavier train from Buffalo to Hoboken, New Jersey faster, then the railroad would make more money. So his succession of these massive projects with larger buildings and elimination of grade crossings, elimination of curves, really made the railroad prosper and to speed the trains along, to get them going, to keep them running 24 hours, 7 days a week. Because it's like this. Steam locomotives require lots of maintenance to keep them going. You need to grease them, oil them, check them to make sure everything's okay. If something's wrong, you need to keep it. But within an hour, you need to get it out, in and out again. See, if it's like a 462 Pacific type engine, taking maybe about half hour to an hour to get back up and running. You grease it up, oil it, fill it with cold water, and get it back on the road again. A modern locomotive, on average, could average about 125 miles before being serviced again. So the Lockhorn Railroad would bring them here, or bring them to another terminal either in New Jersey or either up in New York, or in between stops, service them in a roundhouse and get them out as soon as they could. That was how the railroad kept them going. But as you may know, in the mid-40s and early 50s, diesel-electric locomotives, clean diesel locomotives, began to arrive on the scene to replace steam locomotives, not just because they burned anthracite coal or any kind of coal, because they didn't burn any coal at all. They burned diesel fuel oil, which was very efficient to use, especially in states like Texas and also Oklahoma. That's how the Lockhorn Railroad decided that steam locomotives were becoming very expensive, too expensive to maintain. And then by the mid-50s, everything was converted into diesel, because that's how the railroads lost their money, and that's how they lost the profit, because most